Again, guys, welcome. This is our very first video we're going to shoot about how to cook something. And what we've got here, and I'm going to turn a little light on so you can maybe get a little bit better. That didn't help much at all. Poor lighting in this house anyway. This is a pork tenderloin, okay? So what we've got here is this is about a 7-pound pork tenderloin. Now I bought this at a local store. You can probably see which store it is, but we're not going to plug them. But it's about a 7-pound tenderloin. Now, one of the things about doing a tenderloin compared to some of the other meats you're going to see me do is this one you can cook in your oven and it'll be tender and it'll taste great. You can throw it in a slow cooker and it's going to taste great. It's going to be just fine. I'm never satisfied with just great. I want it to be amazing. I want my family to get done eating and go, oh my God, that was the best thing I've eaten all day. Probably the only thing they've eaten all day. We starve them. Just kidding. So what we're doing here is we're going to open this bad boy up. And this is the night before our cook. Okay, so the night before our cook, what we're going to do is we're going to take this out of the package and we're going to marinate it. Now, why do you marinate it? Well, again, a tenderloin doesn't really need marinating as far as to make it like tender and happy, because it's probably going to be that way on its own. But we're going to do this because we want to add more flavor. Okay, so we're going to lay that bad boy right in this pan. Alright, easy enough. So when I do pork, especially like a tenderloin, my goal on this tenderloin is to cut this into medallions, almost like a bone-out pork chop would be. That's my goal. Whether it turns out that way, we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. Or at the end of this video. Real simple ingredients we're going to do for this marinade, because I can't get half of them open. 100% apple juice. I'm going to apple juice this bad mamma jamma down. Wow, that doesn't even go through there. Okay, and we're going to fill it up pretty full. So we want to get as much of the meat under the liquid as we can. One for me. The other ingredient I'm going to add, again, this is real simple. We're going to put in fresh garlic. Now, I'm kind of lazy, so I don't use fresh garlic. I use pre-minced garlic. Comes in a jar, you can buy it, it's pretty cheap. There goes some garlic. You guys like garlic? I like garlic. I'll put in more garlic. More garlic? Yeah, sure. Alright, there's a couple tablespoons of minced garlic. Now, this is going to sit in the refrigerator overnight. It's going to add moisture to this, because as you guys can see, there is a fat cap on this tenderloin. But when you look through the meat, you don't see a whole lot of marbling. Well, that means there's not going to be an overwhelming amount of moisture that this bad boy is going to give us. So, we're going to help it out a little bit. Again, adds a flavor, adds a little moisture to it as well. One last thing I want to do before I wrap this up is I'm going to take my salt and my pepper, excuse my reach. Now, we use a Himalayan coarse salt. You use kosher salt, you use sea salt, you use road salt. I don't care. But I like to add just a little bit of salt. Now for me, too much salt's a bad thing because I got a bad heart. Life goes on. And a little bit of crush. Boy, I could speak. Press 1. This is a coarse ground black pepper corn. And I love these little automatic things, even though this one seems to be jammed. Not everything's perfect around here. Yes, son of a... So we're just going to add a little bit of freshly ground peppercorn to our flavoring. Now, there is one thing that you might want to understand about this is maybe you don't have all night to marinate this thing. Maybe I got to get this done today. Well, you can do that. And we'll show you later on in the video, or which will be, our time will be tomorrow, how to inject meat. And that's a nice cheat you can use if you don't have all night long to marinate these guys. And that's perfectly fine. You can do that. We're going to do both, because again, I like to add as much moisture to the food as I can. Alright. So we're just going to wrap this guy up here, keep him all moist and nighty-nighty tighty. Put him in a sleeping bag. Come on, you jerk. Son of a bitch. Oh, I hate this wrap. It never comes off. Alright, so I'm going to go put this in the fridge and I'll be right back. Alright, so we got our meat in the fridge, all marinating nice and tight away in its sleeping bag. What we're going to do right now is we're going to make a dry rub. Okay. Why are we making a dry rub? Again, it adds more flavor to our food. Why are we doing it the night before? Because tomorrow might suck and I won't feel like doing it. So, we're going to start off, and we're going to have all these different ingredients, and I'll go through each one of them, why I'm adding them, and how they're going to taste. Okay? So, we got a spoon. And we're going to start with one of my most important and favorites is garlic powder. Now I use garlic powder. You can use garlic salt if you want. I take the powder because, again, lower sodium, better for my heart. First thing we'll do, get rid of the spoon. And we're going to just guess. We're going to put in about maybe 2 tablespoons-ish of our garlic powder. Again, because I like garlic flavor. I think garlic enhances a lot of flavors, kind of like salt and pepper do, but just like that whole nother level. Chili powder. Why chili powder? Like a little bit of heat. There's about maybe a teaspoon or 2 of that. Now again, we're going to go back to our grinders. We're going to add some salt because you got to add some salt to pork to give it some flavor. So we're probably going to go with maybe a tablespoon of this coarse ground Himalayan salt. And again, you don't have to use Himalayan salt. I found it on sale, and I found it in bulk, and I happen to have these happy grinders that I got out of a Facebook Marketplace. So hey, you know what? Everything fit good. Let's try this jerk again. Coarse ground pepper, and of course it doesn't grind the pepper. All right, well, throw that away. Luckily, I have a backup. Coarse ground pepper. I gotta figure out why that grinder ain't working right, but we'll get to that. Here's about we're going to go maybe a tablespoon and a half of ground black pepper. And I apologize for my big hands being in the way. So there's, maybe a tablespoon or so of the fresh ground pepper. I always like fresh. If you don't have the grinder, if you don't have the time, whatever it is it may be, buy ground pepper. It's alright. Now, oregano. Never see this in a dry rub. Why are we putting oregano in there? Because it was in the cupboard. I don't know. We're just going to add maybe like a teaspoon, maybe 2, so we like oregano. Something different. Ground turmeric. Why do we add that? They say it's good for your joints. I like it because it adds a little bit of color. So we're going to add maybe a teaspoon or so of that. Ground cumin. Again, why are we adding that? It's in the cupboard. And just a teaspoon or so of that. We like that stuff. Now, here's one that's real important, and I find this for barbecue is a great ingredient to use in just about everywhere. Now, this is a paprika. Now, this is, you can buy a lot of these seasonings if you don't have them in your cupboard right now. I try to find them for like $1, and they're great. We're going to add maybe a tablespoon and a half of that guy. Go from there. Cayenne pepper. Again, teaspoon or so, just because we like a little bit of flavor. Now, because we're doing this tenderloin has more of a sweet flavor, adding the apple, we're going to have our injection with a little bit of sweet, maybe add some brown sugar to it. I'm going to add ground cinnamon. And people look at me like, you're out of your flipping mind. Why are you adding ground cinnamon? Well, I'll tell you. What goes better with cinnamon than sugar? We're doing sugar. We're going to add a little cinnamon. Imagine apples. Cinnamon's great on an apple pie. All right? So we're just going to add just maybe like a half a teaspoon, not very much. But that should give us a little bit of flavor profile that should be different than anybody else's, right? Right. Ooh, dill seed. Just a little dill seed, just to liven things up a little bit. Curry powder. Why do we do curry powder? Because I'm nuts. Maybe. And again, you can go to the store. What's this? Oh yeah, I remember this one, marjoram leaves. Don't know what they are. Don't care, it tastes good. You can go to the store and you can buy, I'll just show you something I got in here I've had for a while. A gourmet burger seasoning, okay? They make all this kind of stuff. You can buy that's pre-done. It's got all the ingredients listed on here, so you can get plus or minus whatever you want. If you don't like the ingredients that are in there, throw that one away too. We don't care. But find the ones that you like. Find the one that has the flavor that makes you happy. Last thing we're going to do, next to last. Pretty simple, pretty easy to figure out what you got to do, right? Mix it up, mix it up, mix it up. Make up your rub. Okay, so now we got a little rub to put on our food tomorrow. Get rid of that son of a bitch. And then we're going to put it in this shaker. Now I got this shaker at a garage sale for like $1. Of course, I'm not coordinated enough to do this by hand. I got to use a spoon. See why my wife hates me for dishes? Yeah. Yeah, I like using the shaker, and the reason I like using the shaker is because I like to have everything sprinkle evenly. Shaker works great, right? Well, again, if you can buy it for $1 at a rummage sale, it's a good tool to have. So that's it. Okay, we got a little dry rub ready for tomorrow. We're going to put the lid on that and just set that guy aside till tomorrow morning. So when we come back, it'll be morning or noon, depending on what time I get out of bed. We'll have the, we're going to use a Weber kettle grill that we just got about 2 weeks ago. $50 at a yard sale. And the thing looks like brand new. So we're going to show you a couple of tips on how to take care of your grill. We're going to show you how to use offset heat so you can actually smoke things on a kettle grill. You don't need them fancy Traeger smokers that cost $5 bazillion and have them little pellets. Nah, you don't need none of that stuff. We're going to show you how to do it the regular guy way. All right, so you guys come on back. When the video comes back tomorrow, we'll be outside. Weather permitting, it's supposed to rain. We'll figure it out. We'll show you how to make this. All right, come on back. All right, we are back. Now, in the meantime, since we talked a little bit ago here, I've been talking to my son. And my son is a chef. He's got all the state credentials and all those good things going on. And he's told me that this is a true loin, not a true tenderloin. And that's okay. These are usually, a tenderloin's more like a 4-pound piece of meat than this big 7-pound monster we got. And that's okay. He also told me that 150 degree internal temperature is probably a little more than what we're shooting for. Which is good news, because that means at 153, 154 degrees, we can call this bad boy done. Now we're about 2.5 hours in, so we're a little faster than what we had planned on being, but that's all right. That's a good thing, you know. The greatest plans change over time. So you can take a look at that tenderloin there. And again, we flipped that a little while ago. She's looking real good. Real happy with how the color looks. Color turned out nice. Smoke turned out nice. So what I'm going to do real quick here is I'm going to pull this guy off. I'm going to get him up on my cart so we can take a look at it. Maybe we'll make a cut into it, but we're going to, actually we won't cut it yet. I don't want to cut it. I don't want to spoil it. But I still want to do a little bit of quote-unquote cooking on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it off. We're going to wrap it up in aluminum foil, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a minute. But I'm working alone right now, so I got to move the camera around when I do things. So please bear with me for just a minute. All right, I got the camera repositioned here. Pulled her off with our tongs, and you can see that thing sure looks nice. A little nice color in there. Got the juices just everywhere in this thing. So what we're going to do now, and I apologize again for running solo on this thing, but it is what it is. I cut my tinfoil too short. But what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this thing up and let it rest. Now, why are we going to do that? What this will do is this will give our juices inside the meat an opportunity to kind of still do their rendering, get all the flavors in there real good, nice and tight, let it kind of steam inside this aluminum foil a little bit. But what I'm also going to do is I technically still want this thing to continue to cook a little bit, even though it's considered medium well at 150, which I learned today. Even I learn after all this time. My son's smarter than I am, so he teaches me things. He's a fantastic cook. I'm just an average guy. So we're going to do that. And then we've got our hand towel here. I think what I'm going to do, just to try to get that temperature up a little bit, let this thing do its job a little bit longer, we're going to cover that bad boy up. Give it a little insulation there, let it do some more cooking inside. Alright? And we're going to let that go for about 20-30 minutes. So we're about 2.5 hours in, a little bit faster than we thought we'd be. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. Best laid plans always have to get the contingencies figured in. So I'll be back in about 20-30 minutes and we'll check out what this thing looks like as it's done and what it looks like when we cut it open. So hopefully we're going to make it through the rain here. It's starting to cloud up pretty bad. Fortunately, we're getting down to the end here, which is a good thing, because I don't feel like cutting this up in the rain or finishing off those potatoes in the rain while they're cooking. But here we've got our tenderloin, and she's been wrapped for about a half hour, maybe a little bit less. We're going to take a look and see what we got here. You can see the juices are just flowing out of this thing. It looks absolutely phenomenal. We're going to check that out right now for you. And again, I do apologize for the poor camera angles and whatnot. So I'm flying solo today, so we're having to just do this as we can on our own. And here we'll get that bad boy right up on Franken cart. Get this out of the way. Excuse my moving for a minute here. There we go, we got rid of that. Get that out of the way. Now take a look at that. Now that's about 2.5 hours on our grill and about a 30-minute wrap just to lock in those juices and things. We're in fantastic shape here, I think. I hope it turned out as good as it looks. We're going to find out in a minute. We're kind of messy here. There's so much juice in this thing. It's just running all over the place. Dogs are going to love that. So let's take a little cut into this thing and see what we got here, huh? Normally, again, like I say, normally when we're barbecuing and we're doing a low and slow smoke, you're looking at meat that'll fall off the bone, if you will. But take a look at that. Now this is our loin, and we're looking at this thing to be more like a medallion, but take a look at that moisture that comes out of there. That's amazing. We're going to cut this, you know, maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe 1 inch thick. Kind of depends on what you like. You know, I like to have a little bit thicker cut of meat when I'm going to have this for a meal. But you can see, even with this dull old jalopy knife that I've got, actually I love this knife. My father-in-law gave me this knife. It's Damascus. I believe they said it has over 1,500 folds of metal into it. If you're not familiar with how Damascus is made, check out a YouTube video on that. And it's really incredible what they do. You can see that this thing has got a nice smoke ring around the outside here. I guess I should get this in front of the camera. Take a look at that smoke ring we got around the outside. You can see the fat cap is rendered in a little bit. It's cooked thoroughly all the way through, and the juice is just second to none. So now we got to do the best part, my favorite part. Okay, we're going to do my favorite part. We're going to trim off an end here, just a little bit off the end, and we're going to have a bite. Let's see what it tastes like. Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, it's sweet. You can taste the smoke flavor. It's got everything you want to have in a smoked meat. You know, and again, you could do this in your oven. Probably be a lot easier. You set it, turn it off, and you're just done. But for me, I like the smoked meats. I like to serve smoked meats. I like to make people happy when I cook, and that's why I put so much effort into this. So we're gonna carve this bad boy up. Again, you know, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch thick medallions. They should make a fantastic meal. Wow, that is so good. I might have to have another one. Yeah, I wish I could share this through the camera, but they need to invent smellophones. That way we can share this while we're doing this, while you're watching and I'm cooking. So that's about it. We're going to wrap this up as far as the meat goes. We'll get back to the potatoes just to show you the ending of those as they cook. They're probably going to take 45 minutes to an hour on there just to make sure that they're thoroughly cooked. Get that flavoring in there from all those peppers we put in there and all that. We used almost a rub on there, if you will, to season it. You know, garlic, pepper, little salt, a few other goodies in there, kind of like what we showed you with the dry rub that we put on this meat. Man, that's a lot of food. It's a good thing my family lives in town, because I can serve some of this to them, because I don't think my wife and daughter and I would be able to eat all this by ourselves. But we're going to share. We're going to eat good tonight, no doubt. So there you have it. Look at that. I think we'll leave that one alone. That one might be my piece. I don't know. Maybe we'll cut that end off there and try that. Have a little bit of that. It's one of the privileges you get when you cook the food is you get to sample it along the way. I tell you what, again, most of the time when I do barbecue, I'm doing a low and slow, making tough meats into tender meats. But this, first time I made one of these on the smoker, on the grill, and it is absolutely phenomenal. You've seen all the steps I've done. There's no rocket science involved in this. There's no need for a celebrity chef to do this. You can do this on your own, and I highly encourage you to do it. Check out the channel here. We're gonna have more videos coming out as time goes on. If you ever have any questions, just leave a comment. We'll be happy to try to answer them as best we can. If you don't like what we're doing, if we did something wrong, you're probably right, and I'm sure you know better than I do. I'm just a regular guy making regular food. Okay guys, I did promise you a side dish with this meal, and we've got it prepared. And we've got it on our grill right now. And what we've got, again, like I said, is we've got a couple of pounds, I guess maybe 3 pounds of those little potatoes there. We got them all cut up or set and ready to go. We added some of our seasoning, garlic, pepper, and whatnots. And then we added those sweet peppers on there. We cut up about 9 of them, put them on there. And we've got them in a black iron pan. We're going to let them sit right on the grill. Right in the middle there, just like we did. Actually, I think I'm going to put it over to the side here so we can try to get some direct heat on that. Get those sauteed up, get those nice. We'll show you those at the end when they're all cooked and ready to be served. We're just going to let them sit on there for a while. Cover them back up and let them go. Okay, so as you can see, our potatoes are coming along pretty good. They're cooking a little slower than I normally would cook them. I'd usually have them on the gas grill or maybe up over the firebox on my big smoker. But, you know, we just decided not to do that today because I didn't want to drag out a whole nother machine to have to try to cook this meal. So we've just got it here in our black pan. It's starting to steam and starting to sizzle a little bit, doing real good. And my wife says to me, "Hey, sensuous." I'm like, "All right, sensuous, yeah, that sounds good." No, she says, "Since you was out there cooking, why don't you throw on that hamburger that we were going to use for tacos one of these nights?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, really?" So, here I am, going to cook up this hamburger too. And I'll tell you something, guys, we like to use cast iron pans for everything when we're doing outside grilling. Why, you ask? I think they give better flavor, they're better for you because they actually put iron into your diet, and they're easier to clean. You know, they become non-stick as you use them over the years, and you get a better even cooking surface than you do some of that aluminum or stainless steel stuff. That stuff's fine in the house. But when I'm cooking outside especially, I really like to use my cast iron. Now I know what you're thinking out there, gang. Cast iron is so expensive. How can you afford to get all that stuff? Oh my God, it's cost so much money. Well, you know what? I shop around. And I went on Facebook Marketplace. And I found somebody about a 45-minute drive from town here that was selling these 2 pans and a third one that I have still hanging up inside for $10 for all 3 of them. Why? I'm like, okay, what's wrong with them? Well, they were rusty, you know, and they got a little out of hand, and the people didn't want to care for them anymore, so they just decided to get rid of them cheap. Well, I'm kind of a cheapskate. I like a good deal on things, and I mean, you can't even buy one brand new pan for like, what, 40, 50 bucks, if not more, and they're just not the same as these old dogs. These things were just made to last. You know, my grandmother had one, I remember back in the 70s. She used to cook everything in, and I think my mom still has that old pan. Maybe I'll inherit it one day, I don't know. But the point is I buy these things dirt cheap, and I've gotten more since then. And yeah, they're a little rusty, or they're a little cruddy inside because somebody didn't take care of them like they should have, or whatever it might be. But I spent the time, put in the elbow grease, clean these pans, season these pans the way they should have been taken care of properly. And now I cook with them all the time. And I'll tell you something right now, once you get these things to where they're in good shape again, they're really easy to take care of. And I'm going to show you that sometime, maybe not in this video, because I'm kind of running a little low on time with the weather. It looks like it's going to rain. It's kind of been threatening off and on, and there's about a 40% chance this afternoon we're going to get some thunderstorms. I don't really feel like standing out here with an umbrella trying to cook. I've got my canopy up, which is great, but you know what them canopies do when it starts to get windy and heavy rain and thunderstorms? I'll end up picking this thing up in pieces on the ground later on. We can't have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook these as long as I can. Hopefully they'll be done. If they're not, and it starts to get icky, I'll finish them in the house. We'll show you what the finished product looks like. We're getting some plates together for some family members to take over. You know, my mom's 86 years old, and she doesn't like to cook so much anymore, and we like to help out a little bit, you know, because she doesn't do a whole lot. She canned soup, hot dogs, cold sandwiches. That's kind of what she's at right now. And we like to give them a good meal, so we're going to do that. So you guys stay tuned. When we come back, we'll be finishing these things up. Even the hamburger that my wife asked me to make. I know, yeah. Sensuous. My foot, she tricked me. We'll come back and we'll check on these things, so come on back. Well, as I feared would happen, gang, we got rained out outside. The rain started coming down just a little bit. And I don't want to be out there with my camera and all that kind of stuff. But it may have been a blessing in disguise because I was kind of running low on charcoal in my grill. So we decided to move indoors, take care of finishing up these sides of the potatoes and the peppers in there. And you know, this stuff you can do inside as well. You don't have to do this on the grill, which obviously I'm not anymore. You can do this inside all the time. Again, the recipe is real simple. We got those little potatoes, we cut them up, made them about the even sizes there, so the bigger ones got smaller and the smaller ones kind of stayed. We put their avocado oil in our pan. We added about 9 of those sweet peppers all cut up thin to give it some extra flavor. We added pepper, garlic, salt. You know, you use the seasonings that you want to use. Whatever tastes good to you, that's what you're going to want to use. But they're real easy. It don't take a lot to make a dish like this. Pretty easy. Of course, then my wife's hamburger that she requested I cook since I was cooking. Remember that sensuous thing? We're getting that cooked up too, so it'll be ready for another meal tomorrow, perhaps. We'll get her done. Yeah. So I mean, there's not a whole lot left to talk about. As you can see, and I'll pan over here so you can kind of get a view of this. We've got our plate set up right over there. That's going to my mom, my brother, my son and his girlfriend. We'll make sure we get them fed too, because you know, sometimes sharing food is more important than what you actually have. Sharing is what it's all about. Treating people right, taking care of business, taking care of family. That's the good thing. So yeah, we're going to take care of that. We're going to get them fed tonight, make sure everybody's got a full belly, and make sure everybody's happy. Guys, I really hope that you can take something away from this video and from the future videos I plan on doing, because, you know, obviously we all have to eat. We all have to have food in our bellies to make sure we stay healthy. You know, and maybe these aren't the avocado and wheat germ meals that are the best for you, that kind of thing. But, you know, with all this COVID stuff that's been going on and all the hatred that's going on, all the bad stuff in the world right now, no matter which side of the fence that you're on. I personally got buried under the fence a long time ago, but, you know, we don't worry about that. This stuff's just, it's just a way for people to connect. It's a way for family members to get together and enjoy things. It's just a way to put the world on the outside. And you can just sit down and have a good meal. Food tastes good. You don't have to be the greatest chef in the world. Just put this food together. I mean, like I said, look at me. I spent 30 years working as a blue-collar worker. But the one thing I did do when I was young, God bless my brother for trying to take care of me as best as he could, because he was in charge. He couldn't cook. Excuse my face there. He couldn't cook. So it was peanut butter and jellies and soup out of a can and You know, he did the best he could to keep us happy and fed, but I wanted more. I wanted something better. I wanted things that tasted good. So I followed my mom around, learned some things from her as I got older and was allowed to touch the stove and things like that. I experimented, failed a lot, and it's okay to fail. You know, sometimes you got to eat your mistakes. That's okay. But my intent is to show, again, what a regular guy with regular stuff, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get, can do with food. And what you can do all of this stuff. You don't need to be afraid to, well, what if I screw it up? Okay, what if you do? So what? You screwed it up, you do better next time. Learn from your mistakes and move on. I'm sure this won't be perfect as I hoped it would be, but I'm sure it's going to be good. We're going to get everybody taken care of, and everybody's going to have a happy meal and a little smile on everybody's face. And honestly, my goal every day when I wake up is to get up and make at least one person smile a little more than they would have without me. If I can do that, I'm a happy man. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. I guess you guys can probably figure out, once these potatoes are done cooking to my liking, which won't be long now that we got them inside where it's dry and warm and a controlled heat, unlike we have on our grill. We're going to put them on the plates. We're going to serve them up to everybody. Make a few runs today to get that food delivered and enjoy it. So thank you guys for tuning in. And again, this is our new channel. This is our very first full video we're going to put on. So when you see this, we'll hopefully be working on our second video. If you like what you see, if you want to share what you see, of course, subscribe to the channel because we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of it as long as I can get off my butt and do this stuff. Thumbs up the video. If that's how you're supposed to do that. I'm not real familiar with all these terms, so bear with me. But like the video, thumbs up the video, share the video, tell your friends, tell your neighbors' friends. Maybe they can cook you some food someday. Thanks for joining us. And again, if you got any questions, you just put them in the comments down there. I'll do my best to read them. I don't know how to do any of that stuff yet. I haven't even built the channel yet as of this point. I need help because I'm old and don't understand how technology works. But when I have it up and running, you can put comments in there. If you like what you see, please give a positive comment. If you don't like what you see, try not to be too nasty because I'm not going to be nasty. But if you got some constructive criticism, please feel free to leave it. And check out our next video. Hopefully that'll be coming soon. Take care, everybody. So here's a little bit of information that I wasn't able to give you guys at the beginning of this video. But I do this before I cook, and I do it after I cook. Now this ain't got nothing to do with what I'm cooking or how I'm doing it or anything like that. This is just grill maintenance, okay? So we've already done cooking on this thing, and that's fine. We're going to let it burn out. But while the grill is hot, after I'm done, there's a lot of food particles that are left behind on the grate. So I've taken my wire brush, you can take your grill cleaner, your favorite one, whatever you got, and get some of that food particle off of there so it doesn't get all icky on the next time you use it. And the other thing I'm going to do is I've got some avocado oil here. Now you can use extra virgin olive oil, you can use vegetable oil, whatever you prefer. I like the avocado oil. The high smoke point makes it nice to use. And I'm just going to wipe this grit down. Now what this will do is this is just an extra step to get more of the food cruds off. But more importantly than that, it helps to maintain this grate for future use. So it keeps it in better condition. And let's face it, nobody likes the one biggest mistake and one biggest complaint I hear about people when it comes to grilling food is they say, oh, but it's so much work to take care of the grill. You got to clean it. You got to this, you got to that. You're not wrong. A couple of steps that are a little easier. Takes a little less time overall. You do this ahead of time. You do it when you start so your food don't stick. You do it when you're done while the grill's still hot and it's easy to remove all the food particles. A little bit of work now saves a lot of bit of work later. Anyway.